Hello, join us as we go live to Venezuela, where another shipment of humanitarian aid is about to set sail towards the eastern part of Cuba with much needed aid to help those affected by Hurricane Melissa. Let's listen.
Humanitarian aid for Cuba. This sound of the ship announces that the ship is about to leave from the port of La Guaira as a show of the humanitarian aid in favor of Cuba. Our people is going to, in barely a few hours when this new ship arrives, there hasn't been anything else but the continuity of an extraordinary effort of the Bolivarian Revolution and President Nicolas Maduro and his government team that has been paying attention, following minute by minute each one of the details of how the Cuban people have faced this new challenge from nature. And we have been, let's say, this would be the third shipment. We had the first on October 30th, when it was the commemoration of the 25th anniversary of the incorporation between both countries that started by Commander Hugo Chavez and Commander Fidel Castro. And a few days ago as well, we also sent a ship that is already in Santiago de Cuba with an extraordinary help. And in the first case, it was an airplane. Then the ship had over 1,900 tons of aid, and yesterday in the late hours we also sent a group of comrades that are also joining by this contingent of support from the Public Works Ministry and the Transportation Ministry. This has been a help, very grandiose, very integral, with many facets that the Cuban people are very thankful. You have been witness during these days of the damages that have been done by this meteorological thing that happened on our country, with our provinces that have been affected, our homes. 4,000 houses were totally destroyed, and over 110 kilometers of ways have been destroyed. Bridges, over 4,000 houses have been totally destroyed, the crops as well. But despite all of these difficulties, we have had the support, the invaluable support of the Bolivarian Brotherhood. It has been many the examples of support from the Bolivarian government, especially from the comrade Nicolas, from all of the foreign ministry, from all of the comrades of the ports and the people of the National Guard. It has been days truly uninterrupted, and we have seen how even during the early hours of the day they haven't stopped trying to help. Yesterday, when we were saying goodbye to the comrades of this ministry that I was mentioning, they're already willing and working with our comrades there in Cuba, and we were seeing the enthusiasm and the delivery without limits, even said by the executive secretary of the ALBA that they could have been with their own families, but still they have been an example of that sisterhood that has grown for over 25 years. Really, we would like to reiterate our thank yous to all of the people from La Vega and all of those who have been working here systematically. It has been impressive, and all of these efforts, even in the midst of the threats and the siege that the Bolivarian Revolution has, despite all the sanctions, what comes from this people is truly love and solidarity to the Cuban people. We are very moved and very thankful. We have reiterated in more than one occasion that this help that in a concentrated way has arrived. It is an effort because the solidarity and help of the Bolivarian people and the government has been permanently in our country, and we feel it like that, each one of the Cuban people. I am convinced that once this new aid reaches Cuban territory, it will join all of that effort that has been doing. Truly, Vice Foreign Minister, we thank your presence as well. And, well, thank you again. Here it is an honor for us to have again this gesture, this third shipment, and all of the humanitarian aid that we have sent in this occasion. A ship with many tons of aid in containers of food, mattresses that are also joining all of the helps that we have been working almost simultaneously, reaching the ship that sailed on Friday and is reaching the Santiago port that also has humanitarian aid in the ship of Alba. This joins also the technicians that are already in Havana in Cuba, technicians in electric materials that are going to deploy in all the country to restitute the electric service. They're experts in biology and recovery. For us, it's fundamental. Cuba knows that they have us, and we know that we can count on them. And this in moments when there is a threat, a climate threat, a threat that comes from climate change, a military threat, the threat of economic sanctions and coercive measures on our countries. It is fundamental to reinforce the unity, and this is an expression of that unity. United we are stronger and invincible, so we are convinced that it is going to have a positive impact. You know that you can count, Ambassador, and the Cuban people with all of our solidarity and all our support in the difficult situations and also in the joy. So this recovery that comes again will continue building these paths that we are setting with the Alba. So we hope that in 3 days this ship will be reaching there, and all of the best for the Cuban people. Thank you. We were listening to the Vice Foreign Minister for Latin America of Venezuela, Raul Licaso, who was doing a balance of this humanitarian works, these works of hope coordinated by the Bolivarian Alliance for the Peoples of America to take this message of solidarity and help to Cuba. It is in this ship over 2,500 tons among foods, mattresses, and electric things to solve the contingency that is being faced, especially the eastern part of the island after the passing of the last hurricane that affected the eastern provinces of the country. Also, he was commenting this aid, humanitarian aid, by the ambassador of Cuba in Venezuela, Jorge Luis Hermayo Fernandez, who was highlighting that it is about the second ship of humanitarian aid that sails towards Cuba in barely a few hours. At around 10 at night, the first ship will reach the island with 5,000 tons of humanitarian aid, and also a multidisciplinary team of over 20 professionals from Venezuela. Many specialists in different activities are already in the eastern part of Cuba to start these works of humanitarian aid, to collaborate in the restructure of the electric system in Cuba. Let's remember that in over 93,000 houses were affected by the last hurricane, and over 750,000 people were evacuated to prevent the effects that could be originated by this hurricane. But in the end, over 1,500 schools were affected, over 400 medical centers, and 28,000 cows were affected, and many hectares of crops have been destroyed by this hurricane. But here is a ship filled with hope and solidarity that is willing to tend a bridge to establish this company to the island of Cuba in this moment that is very hard. And this ship that now starts to get far away from the coast of La Guaira is sending that message of solidarity, that message of hope and of company to the island of Cuba, especially to the eastern part of the island that has seen itself affected by Hurricane Melissa in the last days, and has received the solidarity of different parts of the world, but especially of Venezuela, with this message of solidarity and hope to help those over 750,000 people that have been affected by the Hurricane Melissa. Here is the hope to recover their mattress, to recover their electricity, their cover in this great movement of solidarity led in the Bolivarian Alliance for the Peoples of Latin America by Venezuela. This was being highlighted by both the ambassador of Cuba in Venezuela, Jorge Luis Mayo Fernandez, and also the vice foreign minister of Venezuela for the Caribbean, Raúl Licauce.
We are live at this hour to Venezuela. We are witnessing another shipment of humanitarian aid that is setting sail towards the eastern part of Cuba with much needed aid to help those affected by Hurricane Melissa in Cuba, hundreds of thousands of people. And this, in a powerful demonstration of regional unity, Venezuela is sending its second cargo shipment with critical humanitarian supplies that will reach the hands of those Cubans who need them the most. The aid vessel is carrying, as our correspondent in Venezuela, Segura, mentioned, is carrying deep symbolic weight, solidarity, hope, in a context that is marked by threats and harassment against both nations, against Cuba, against Venezuela, especially in this moment. This help represents an alternate vision of international relations, one that is based on mutual care, historical memory, and anti-imperialist solidarity. This is a moment of hope, as our correspondent in Venezuela mentioned. This is all for the moment, but stay tuned with teleSUR English because we are going to keep updating you on all the latest details on this shipment.